Inside Story Uganda. Real source of
that
political
matter
updates.
happen. My name is Simon Kagwanjala, and tonight, well, as the election season builds up with a sense of lukewarmness and enthusiasm on the other part, plus, of course, uncertainty, we'll be looking at the issue of roadmaps. NRM has already rolled out their roadmap, highlighting the key events, their calendar in the run-up to the 2026 elections. What are the other players up to besides the pronouncements that they'll be participating in the 2026 election? And besides, are roadmaps anything to watch? That and much more will be the point of our discussion tonight with Honorable Dombo Lumala, the Director Communications at the NRM Secretariat, Honorable Engineer Patrick Amuriat, the President of the Forum for Democratic Change, our frontliner Ofwono Opondo, and the Secretary General of the Democratic Party, Honorable Gerald Siranda. Good to have you all and a very good evening. Perhaps I could start with Ofwono Opondo. Ofwono Opondo, I guess you've had a chance to scan through the NRM roadmap. Does it really speak to anything besides the calendar? That there will be an election and they're warming up.
Well, I think all the political parties are realigning their calendars with that of the National Electoral Commission. You call it the Independent Electoral Commission, which, as all of us know, had engagement with the different stakeholders, had a convergence and published its roadmap, which in a nutshell says the final election, the presidential elections, will be held sometime the first half of January next year. If we work backwards, there will be major nominations for members of parliament and presidential candidates in early October. And there will be nominations and elections for the other special interest groups. A while back, the Electoral Commission did the register update of voters register. I think Friday next week, 25th, is going to display the National Voters Register for people to go and cross-check their details, their particulars, weed out, raise complaints about dead people, non-residents, ineligible people who are on the voters register, and so on and so forth. And so the political parties, serious ones, are following that one. The NRM, to which I subscribe, I have had the opportunity to look at their roadmap, which was launched yesterday by the Secretary General, and they are beginning their activities in the next 1 week. On my part, as a government person, I want to appeal to Ugandans. First of all, go and check your names, your particulars, with the National Electoral Commission display process for the next 21 days from 25th. Then come back to your political parties and check, tie it up. I am going to mobilize for the NRM for members to check their register, their names. Tongue in cheek, you said the NRM has 20 million?
20.7 million.
20.7 million. My understanding is that that's still not a clean register. It also contains people who are 16, below 18.
You find it contestable?
No. That our constitution actually says we register members from 16. Now, some of those could be people who are even 18, have registered with NERA, but are not registered with the National Electoral Commission. So I would urge them, please go and make sure that you register with the National Electoral Commission, because that's how useful.
Do we
for
need to
NRM.
question the credibility of numbers that NRM boasts?
No, you don't. You don't.
Or it's bloated?
No, you don't need to bother with that, because, for example, the exercise NRM has been on, all aspirants have been urging potential supporters to go and register in the NRM register. You could as well find FDC members, DP members registered in that, because what does the constitution of NRM say about membership? It says if somebody says I am, allow him, who are you to say you are not? So you could find that aspirants have mobilized their supporters from different political parties to come onto the NRM register to vote for them in the primaries. And then probably those people, if the people who mobilize them are serious, they will ensure that they vote again for them in the national elections.
So genuinely speaking,
yes.
How many voters would you estimate NRM boasts?
I expect that after cleaning up, it should come down to about 14. I estimate 11 to 14 million if we do a thorough cleanup. But it will be difficult because of the nature of the NRM. It says as long as somebody says he or she is a member, no one will remove you. Even if we know you fraternize with the power here, but you are saying you are NRM, we have no other basis to say you are not. Unless somebody brings a credible documentary proof, for example, that you are also a member of FDC. Now, we don't have access to the FDC register. So how are you even going to match the person who is in the FDC register and NRM register?
Engineer,
so that will be difficult.
Engineer Muriat, NRM says they have 20.7 million supporters. How many does FDC have?
Well, first of all, I think I would like to observe that my brother OO has made a fundamental statement that indicates that the NRM is not a serious political organization. They decided public before that the numbers are real and akin to the NRM. I think that is a flaw that needs to be corrected, if I may advise our friends in the ruling party. But at the same time, we know that the NRM has never believed in free, fair, and credible elections. And therefore, I see those numbers that are being floated, that have been published, as a tool for political mischief. And I believe that this is going to be used when the time comes to try and defend fraudulent figures that would have been realized in the elections. And so the earlier OO and my friend Emmanuel Dombo here sort out the issue of their register and come clean on their numbers, the better it is going to be for the organization, the better it is also going to be for democracy in our country.
Well, is there anything to show that FDC is into the 2026 election seriously? It's just barely months to an election, but there's hardly a roadmap coming from Najana Nkumi.
I want to answer the first question, Simon, about our numbers. Our registration is work in progress. And therefore, I am not capable of placing a finger on exactly how many members we have. But in the FDC...
By estimate.
But in the FDC, we have got a distinction between members, supporters, sympathizers, of the party. We might register 150,000 only as members. Those are people who are committed, who will spare no energy to ensure that they mobilize for the FDC, who will contribute for the FDC, who will go vote hunting. These are members who would form the foundation of the FDC. Now, we would go to the NRM people, those that are in the Opono's register, and persuade them to come to our side. We would go to the other political organizations. We would even speak to people who do not have any party affiliation to ensure that they actually vote for us. And we draw these examples from the Conservative Party that was in power before they were removed by the Labour Party in the UK. Labour has got about 300,000 people in a democracy of 45 million voters.
So essentially, you don't know.
And so we are not going to posture like the NRM is posturing, trying to convince the world, trying to convince citizens, trying to cause confusion about their numbers.
Engineer Muriat,
that said,
where is your roadmap?
That said, I will now answer that. We are going to be launching our roadmap on Wednesday next week. Immediately after the Easter break, I will be addressing the media on this particular matter. The documentation has already been done, and we have got landmarks within that roadmap that are going to be observed, of course, in keeping with the published roadmap of the National Electoral Commission. I don't know whether it is independent.
Okay, could you share some snippets of your highlights, the key highlights?
We will be having expression of interest. Actually, the forms have already been produced and some have been collected. On the 28th and 29th of this month, the presidential aspirants will be collecting expression of interest forms, and that will be ahead of the nomination. And it's also clear that the FDC, being the most democratic political organization in this country, where positions are not ring-fenced, will be going full throttle into the campaigns.
Thank you.
Our presidential, can I just explain something? Our presidential candidates will be running around the country for a period of 3 months to garner support from delegates, but also to popularize the party. Our young people, and I'm speaking about our chairman of the Youth League, the Honorable Francis Adepo, are in full flight, organizing the young people to participate in the special interest group. So yes, Boniface Terebuka Bamwenda, our Electoral Commission chairperson, is up to the task and will be unveiling our roadmap on Wednesday next week.
Thank you very much. Honorable Siranda, it appears that the stage is set and NRM seems to be setting the agenda for other parties. Is DP getting into this election 2026 with the seriousness that you would imagine?
I don't think so that the NRM is setting the stage. DP set, you're aware, also hosted us here in April 2024. We set the process of registration, which I'm sure if you're a member, if you're still, you should be in this register. This process has been ongoing for a party all through.
May he answer that question?
If he is a member, all members of DP, he knows that our party constitution every year we do what we call annual subscription. But why did we set this process? This process was for us to separate supporters, well-wishers, and members of our party. The challenge we have had in DP is that you have members of DP who claim to be DP now, but then they are supporting another party for a particular position, specifically presidency and all those other positions. We had the party where our national organizing secretary crossed to another party, and he just handed over exactly all the register of the party to the other party.
Doesn't that include your president who subscribes to NRM?
That's
now?
a different thing. And
It is. It is important to
and
know.
I don't think I am going to play within that. I am here as a leader of government for business for your party.
Yes.
That you belong to. And when you invite me,
Your
you allow me.
Your party president is in bed with the NRM.
That's what you see. But allow me to explain to the members.
Okay.
You may know that, but let me speak to the DP members and Ugandans out there. So we decided that we go through a process of renewal so that, you know, what was there in EC, I submitted the DP leader as chairman or organizing secretary or treasurer, and the other party had submitted them as registrar. So same people, you know, in the same commission, with different portfolio, but so we decided to do this process, and we have been doing this process. And I want to report that in our party, even all those members who do not believe in a direction that our party took, all the MPs participated in this process. You go to Mitiana area, the Honorable Mu was at the center stage. You go to Masaka, Honorable Babiria and Honorable Sevamala were all at the process. The Honorable Lulume Baiga the process, leading the process of the party that the party has, you know, spearheaded, believing that all of us are trying to mobilize towards getting a register. And one thing we have done in this book is we have also categorized those who are voters and where they vote from, so that we get to know who are the members that we have and those who are voters. And along the way, this is going to give us birth to the process of that we have now done, compiled the register, and we now launched the process of leadership renewal, structure renewal at the grassroots. Today I am from Lango. We were launching and supervising, overseeing the processes. We are the sub-county. From the 12th to 19th, we are going to be doing the sub-county. And our target is to make sure that we get at least the 20 leaders of our party from every village. Uganda has over 90,000 villages. Our calculation as DP is that if we have 20 leaders at the village and they all voted for DP, we will have 1.8 million votes.
Yeah, but here is the reality. NRM claims they have 20, if I could borrow your book, Honorable Dombo. Page 20 of the NRM, they say total number of voters, NRM members, is 20,741,801.
That is okay, Simon. Simon, what I can experience I've got in the field, there are people who actually register in all parties. You find a person registered in NRM, you are there for DP, he has registered. And you can see the example is that they say they have about 90 or 100,000 in Kawempe. You see the outcome that was in Kawempe. Not even 10,000 of the members who registered in their book. So the processes of registering is that we don't lead a prison. In Uganda, you have people that are transiting every day. Today is here, tomorrow is there. But there is also confusion of people who think that if you're not in the register, then you don't benefit from Operation Wealth Creation, you don't benefit from Bonaba Gagawale. This is a report that we pick from the villages. And until we explain to people that it's a continuous process of growth. So for us, if you're here today, and then you're in the other party, that's why we continue going on, so that we have a process of cleaning. We are not looking at, you see the Communist Party of China, it has 70,000 members, card holders, you know? So what, if we have the 20 per village, and they all vote for the Democratic Party, we will get 1.9 million. If we ask the 20, each of them to look for 3 times the 90,000, you will already have 5 million, 5.4.
After a dismal performance of your president, Honorable Norbert Mao, in 2021, what are you in this election
The performance of your party, not Norbert Mao. Norbert Mao is a party candidate. And until
your party president.
Yes,
and
the party
on
candidate. DP, Norbert Mao, is a candidate of the party. And if you think, these are the challenges we have. You go to Simon Kagwanjala's village that has all leaders of our party, but when the DP candidate contests, they cannot even get, 10 votes in that village. We are speaking to our members to understand that biggest task they have to do for them to show that they support the party is not to rant, is not to lament, is not to insult, but is when you vote for the party. We are looking for the loyalty to your party. So Norbert Mao will go away, another person will come, Siranda will go away, until we appreciate that that's a party candidate. We might have disagreements on how we view the policy arrangement on where we go, but the question is, do you support your party? So the DP has launched these processes, and I have told you the vehicle is leaving you. The process of registration is ongoing, but for the purpose of the National Delegate Conference and Leadership Renewal, there was a cutoff. 30th May, we are going to be in Mbarara for the National Delegate Conference 2025, hosted in Mbarara City. So we are doing the leadership renewal processes. Today, as we speak, up to 19th, we are going to be on the sub-counties. Then we give a room for 1 week for seeing those who have returned, those who have not managed, and then we do the other processes, but also conflict resolution, of harmonization, and all those. We are launching our expression of interest. I will be speaking about that on Tuesday, the 21st. All processes are done because the DP structures are bottom-up. We don't start from top-bottom. So we have been doing that process. And I want to assure you that the process is going on well. There are people that are responding, and we are clearly screening who we want. We are not just opening the door for everybody. And the process of DP you apply. To become a DP member is the only party where we take you through a process of filling a form.
I've never filled it.
No, because you've not been following your constitution. The party constitution, actually, there is nothing that we are inventing. The party constitution, we will go mobilize, we call upon people, they line up if they want, but then we fill for them a form to feel and appreciate and understand what they are trying to follow.
Well, does your process and your submission suggest that Mao will be the presidential candidate in 2026?
In DP processes, the presidential flag bearer is chosen during the National Delegate Conference. As I speak, and I'm sure you know, because some of the people that you're with, you know that there are like about 4 people that have already expressed interest to run for the DP presidency. So the processes in the National Delegate Conference of DP, we are going to be doing 3 things. We are going to be doing the policy review of our party, and then we take key decisions of where we're going to go. We're going to be unveiling our constitution as amended to the delegates. The delegates amended that. Then we will vote the leadership of the party. But again, we do the primaries for the party. In the Democratic Party, the National Delegate Conference is the primaries for the presidential flag bearer.
Thank you. Honorable Dombo, the roadmap that was released just yesterday is arousing a lot of debate and curiosity. The first contention now comes from the numbers, the issue of numbers. The second contention is also coming from the internal issues within the party that remain unresolved. Does anything suggest to you that NRM still has a lot of work to do?
Simon, thank you very much. And I want to thank my colleagues for following NRM, because NRM leads as a mass party and others progressively copy from it. Right now, the people who don't support NRM, those who are from other parties, have been very quick to dispute the numbers that have been registered in NRM. But none of them is conversant of the procedures taken in order to arrive at these numbers. They want to compare with the Independent Electoral Commission numbers, but I want to tell you
that stand at 17.
That no, it is above 20 million. Get the facts right, so that you give the correct figures. In NRM, we do our registration at village level, and in Uganda we have over 72,000 villages, while the Independent Electoral Commission does its registration at the parish level and the substations at sub-county level, where we only have about 2,000 sub-counties in the whole of the country. When you look at the distances where people have to go for registration under the Independent Electoral Commission, there are many people who will not even care or bother to go there because they will need some bit of motivation for them to go undertake such a task. Many of these people are herdsmen, others are farmers. When they do the opportunity cost of registration, they find out that they would rather go and look after their cows, they would rather go fishing, they would rather go to do farming other than going to do registration. So NRM goes to the village level where there is proximity to the villages and the people who wish to get registered. And secondly, NRM, because every member we are going to use adult suffrage in our primaries, all the members of NRM, potential candidates for the different elective offices, are going to be personally involved to mobilize their supporters to go and register in the register so that they don't miss out should the elections come over. And then the third most important aspect is that in NRM, we don't consider the need first before registration. There are many people, Ugandans, who have never gotten national IDs, yet they are of voting age, and many of them qualify to be registered. But they don't have NINs, they don't have national IDs.
You had the reservations of power. He says you're inflating numbers so that you aid your mischief.
So what else would Poa say? Because he has been saying that, even his predecessors. So for Poa, I wouldn't be surprised, because that has been the game, that has been the song that they have consistently been repeating. So because of those two differences, and the final one is that we register young people, like Ofwono Opondo did inform the members and the listeners. We register young people from the age of 16 to the age of 18. Even those who may not be qualifying to vote, they qualify to become members of NRM. If you looked at this register...
So literally half the population of the country subscribes to NRM.
Perhaps even more. Perhaps even more, because...
Isn't that laughable?
When you look... People laugh at it, but at the end of the day, when you get the results...
Does it rhyme with the reality? In Kawempe, you once said you had about 100,000 voters.
Who said that? Because there's a register here. And for the whole of Kampala, we have about 400,000 members of NRM. So Kawempe alone, I want to tell you that we have about 37,000 members. So all those numbers that people have been claiming on the media houses, we are here to debunk it, because the register, the report, speaks for itself. But for us, this is an internal document which does two things. When we do the registration, we take the 40 telephone numbers. This being a digital era, we are going to use digital communication with our members should there be anything that we want to do for mobilization.
For purposes of clarity, are these members, supporters, or sympathizers?
They are members of NRM. A register is membership registration. So for us to register, whoever comes up at the village and says, for me, I'm a member of NRM. The only restriction has been...
So this is the final list?
The final list is going to be... This is the final list for purposes of the structural elections. But in order to have improved qualitative elections during the primaries, we are going to use the structural elections early next month to do a cleanup of this register, so that all the members who will go at the village during the voting, there will be a village assembly. All people will gather between morning and midday. Throughout the whole country, on I think the 6th of May, we shall be conducting elections between midday and 1 o'clock throughout the 72,000 villages. And during the village assemblies, people will go through their registers, and somebody will read Dombo, Dwandi. So if there is Kagwanjala and everybody knows that Kagwanjala has defected to the Democratic Party, they will cross you. And the purpose of that exercise is to help us to have a cleaner register during the primary
So
elections.
in the interim, you argue that NRM has 20.7 members.
Absolutely, yes, because this is the statistics that we have had. When you go to the internal control mechanism that we used in order to arrive at this, that is the correct number that we have now. But I want to tell you, there is no party at any one time that will have an absolutely perfect register. Because right now, as we talk, there are many people who are registered in our register who are dying. Our chairperson of Cavalore and other members of NRM, they have been registered, they have been updated, but every day there are people dying, there are people joining, and there are so many things happening. But to us, given what has been happening, this is a good process. The final question which you asked was about the internal processes. Simon, NRM has evolved through a number of stages. At one time, we had the internal processes using colleges in order to determine the leaders, but also determining our flag bearers. But the constitution has since been amended, and we now use adult suffrage in order to determine the members, especially for electable positions of those who are going to become flag bearers. Because of that, therefore, there has been a lot of effort by the party secretariat, facilitated by the administration and the leadership of the party, in order to ensure that once we have the internal processes done well, then we should be able to minimize on the number of independents that come to Parliament. In January this year, we had a meeting with the national chairman in Raktura, and some of us were of the view that why don't we trigger the provisions of the Constitution, which are very restrictive to people who run as independents. And the national chairman guided and said, how can you do that when you have not put the internal processes right? Because he said, why would somebody run as an independent and win if the internal elections were initially correct? You all saw what happened in Kisoro. We had Kisoro, almost everybody is NRM, because there they even have a nomenclature which they say ijana ku ijana, 100%. So in Kisoro, we went and conducted by-elections in turn first. And somebody else, the NRM flag bearer won. We went and supported her during the primaries. But when it came to the final elections, our flag bearer lost. And the president asked us, if you did a good job during the primaries, how come that the flag bearer lost? That shows you the inherent weaknesses which progressively we have been solving.
Honorable Dombo, I still feel intrigued by your submission that very soon you're now going to clean the register. Yet you embarked on the process of voter registration in January, just recently, in January. So you arrived at these numbers after the January exercise, didn't you?
Absolutely, yes, we did.
Now you're going to clean the register.
You know, continuous mobilization, there are defectors. There are people who have been registered here.
People who joined in January and they are now leaving.
Who are being convinced by...
But Honorable Dom, just remind him, only 3 days ago, the Secretary General of NRM was on the media unveiling members of parliament.
From other parties?
From other parties. In January, they were on the other party. 3 days ago, they changed and came to NRM. Are you saying they should not be registered in the membership and possibly voters register of the NRM? In fact, I suspect that those members of parliament from my brother's party, now they are in NRM, are likely to contest for the NRM flag in their respective constituencies. And that's the dynamic. I think the main issue should be, how can you be flexible, but also at the same time, at the end of the day, reflect the genuine will of your members, of your voters, and eventually the country. That's what should be important. But unfortunately, you are obsessed with just the numbers. The numbers will keep fluctuating because
It's quite significant.
No, first of all, our national constitution is such that it gives wide latitude for a Ugandan to move. And our respective party constitutions try to follow that. In the case of the NRM says it is a mass party. And therefore you don't compare it with CCM, you don't compare it with the ANC, you don't easily loosely compare it with the Communist Party of China that you said has only 80 million registered members. Because the NRM says, as long as somebody by their mouth, they say, I am NRM. You, the person registering, or you, the official supervising it, you cannot say you are not NRM. If he's the one or she is the one who decides, for example, my brother here, you know, one of the reasons FDC is in trouble is that some members of FDC, some leaders in FDC are accusing my brother here that he's fraternizing with NRM, that is no longer fully committed to FDC. Now, if my brother here is indeed, if it is true that he is fraternizing with us, and he quietly passes to us some of his members, what can NRM do?
What are you trying to insinuate?
I'm not just insinuating. I'm not.
There's a tinge of yellow.
I'm not insinuating. These are accusations that have been made publicly.
I think it's not right for you to broadcast such accusations.
No, I'm saying these are accusations that have been made.
Unfounded accusations.
No, not unfounded. These are accusations that have been made not once, many times on public media, and the consequence of which has led to the split of FDC, as you know.
That kind of street talk, doesn't affect us.
Are you saying FDC hasn't been split?
Well, yes, it has. Yeah. Maybe not once.
What's the reason? What's the reason of the latest split?
What was the reason for Kambia walking out of FDC? What was the reason for Sebugwa walking out of FDC?
I'm talking about the latest one.
What was the reason for General Muntu and Honorable Lasso walking out of FDC? Mm-hmm. It's not the first to experience it.
No, but
what viewers need to understand
is that the split? Do you want to take his question? Let him frame his question again. What exactly are you asking?
My brother, Honorable Engineer Power, is saying this is
from Amos Moss should stop confusing.
I'm from along Amos Moss. I am saying these accusations have been made against you in particular as the president of FDC. So therefore, it may be street talk, but has been leveled against you, and it has led to the split of FDC.
Well, I want to clear the record
to the extent that the people who walked away from you have now founded a new political party, call it organization.
It is pretty normal for people to walk out of any political organization. Yeah. Yes, I'm even sure there are people who walk out of NRM and join the FDC. Yeah.
Senyonga walked away.
Yes, they will come out of the political organization making all sorts of allegations. Ours, for the sake of viewers, is a case of a power struggle within the FDC. A fight for supremacy within the FDC. People failing to run away from the founder syndrome mentality. And that is what played out in FDC. And you can see that our friends moved out.
I imagine you've not gotten over this, even as you walk into 2026.
No, we have overcome this. We had internal processes that exonerated people who were being accused. Every one of us was called before the elders, an elders committee that was legitimately formed, and it was given the task of trying to resolve this matter. They came up with a report that is public, and I think I will be giving Opondo a copy of that report, so that when he makes any wild allegations here, he knows that there is a process that we have gone through.
Engineer Moriat, how are you entering 2026? Are you really enthusiastic about participating in 2026 elections?
Viewers need to appreciate that we've been in elections as a political organization 4 times. National elections. We've been in an election as a group or organization called Reform Agenda once. So we talk from experience. We know what button to press when. We know how to organize.
Yeah, but
this is not the first time that we are doing this.
What is clear now with the NRM and what makes them actually lead the pack is that they already have a candidate. FDC doesn't have a candidate yet. They already have a clear roadmap highlighting the dates and the events. FDC is still in process. So that suggests to you that you're trailing.
Well, the Baganda say Omani takera. Omani takera. And you know, we are not going to play an NRM game. We are going to play our own game. What happens in the NRM does not determine what happens in the FDC. And as I said, we are not new players in this thing. We've been here, we've been around for over 20 years now. And we know what to do when. The processes within NRM are not similar to ours. So for you to even suggest, for you to insinuate that NRM is leading and we are following is actually a wrong assumption. What NRM has done, folks, in as far as identification of their presidential candidate, we know it's going to be Museveni always. That position is ring-fenced. It is not going to be touched by anybody. The moment you announce you want to run for the presidency, and Ombo knows what happened to people like Okoto Gong and others. There was this soldier man who wanted to touch the honors of something, and he was said no. He was told you are not going to do that. For us, there is no position that is ring-fenced. All positions are competed for, including the position of presidential flag bearer. And we are having almost 4 or 5 people already showing interest in that position. And we will subject them to the National Delegates Conference. We will subject them to a vetting process that is constitutionally established within the party. They will go around persuading the electorate. The Electoral College is now in place. Our internal elections are almost complete.
What are the chances that we see the barefoot Amuriat back in the ring?
Well, Amuriat is a formidable force. The last time you saw Amuriat coming in a bit late, of course, you downplayed the power. You asked me here how I'm going to speak to the voters in Buganda, because I do not understand Luganda. I did speak to the voters in Buganda. So there is a possibility. There is a possibility for Amuriat to be the presidential flag bearer, for Nandala Mafabi and the others. We have so many. We have so many people to choose from. For us, it's not a do or die, and we believe that the best candidate to take the flag of the FDC is the one we shall present to the country as our presidential flag bearer.
Well, very interesting. As we take a break, I want to send out my shout-outs to all the viewers who are on Afro Mobile. We'll also be breaking towards midnight and getting straight on to Afro Mobile. So be part of the conversation. Download the app.